Hi, my name is José Gonçalves. I studied architecture in the Lisbon School of Architecture, having completed my thesis there. The name of my thesis is Reiterating the Vertical Urban Factory, a symbiotic relationship between Beato's artistic emergence and the Lisbon port silo complex. The idea for the project emerged from a fundamental problem I seem to find while observing most post-industrial port cities in Europe, and that during the Industrial Revolution, most of these cities had immense waterfront concentrations of industrial and infrastructural buildings, which, thanks to rising prices, were vertically conceived in contrast of today's assembly line-driven industrial buildings. During the end of the 18th century, when the decentralization of the industrial city occurred, industrial and infrastructural buildings were essentially pushed to peripheries away from city centers. Nina Rappaport called this the removal of process, and that although it ended up solving a lot of the humanitarian and sociological problems that these cities faced, it also compelled us to design industry away from cities instead of adapting industry to them. Today, these once infrastructure-centric spaces are simultaneously filled with unoccupied buildings, while thanks to their waterfront location are prime real estate. So then the question arises, what happens when an infrastructural building is far too irreplaceable to be displaced? Fast forward to the oriental edge of Lisbon, there is a silage terminal, the Beato silage terminal, that by managing more than 20% of all grain that the country consumes, is an irreplaceable element in Lisbon's port. At the same time, there is a number of massive riverfront urban projects in development, as well as a new fun creative industry in the surrounding area, that end up clashing with this irreplaceable infrastructure. This essentially creates an architectural stranglehold between two seemingly incompatible uses: industry and culture. Given this clash of forces, could this infrastructure be integrated into the region's urbanity instead of being removed or completely separated from it? Could it simultaneously be, as an hybrid building, adapted to meet the surrounding needs as the new creative hub of Lisbon and serve its infrastructural functions? For this to be possible, a symbiotic relationship had to be established between the predominant art sector and the surrounding area and the silage process itself. In Beato, art is produced and not exposed, as it is predominantly occupied by art studios and not art venues. Therefore, the creation of ways to integrate the art community with its desired public is imperative. Yet, as some studies have shown, proposing an artistic center could be a catalyst towards gentrifying the existing artistic community, and consequently could be an inadequate solution. The proposal aims to respond to this problem by establishing a relationship with two main programs and with the industrial silage process. These programs are amenities and spaces for the creation of art. It is proposed that these two cores be adapted in a way as to always establish a visual connection between the creative process and the amenities, generating value for the latter. This value would then be redistributed as to sustain the spaces used by the art community, and this essentially creates a relationship between artists, the industrial process, and the general public. The intervention, therefore, results from a sectioning of a number of silo cells as to create two programmatic cores, amenities and makerspaces, with clear side views in between. These side views between the creative process and the amenities create value. This value would then be redistributed as to sustain the spaces used by the art community. Then, the great dust produced by the silage residue would be used as compost in order to also sustain the amenities via a farm greenhouse located on the top of each silo. In this way, the phenomenon of the process removal is then essentially reversed by the conception of an architecture that integrates the industrial process with urban life. This results in a project that simultaneously responds to the needs of the Beato region, integrating it with the industrial process of the silage complex. Thank you.